We have several students applying for university places on various different degrees. So we thought it'd be a good idea to make a video on some of the potential upcoming changes to the UCAS system.
UCAS is the Universities and Colleges Admission Service, and their job is to help students and universities too through the application process. They act as a middleman between the universities and the schools, essentially.
So currently, the way the system works is you get around 5 choices to make for different courses. So you'd put down the universities that you'd like to attend along with the corresponding courses at those universities. For some courses, though, it's recommended that you only choose that particular course. So, for example, for medicine, out of your 5 choices, 4 are supposed to be for medicine, and then the other one is supposed to be, they suggest that you apply for something else. In addition to making your university choices and degree choices, you've got to submit a personal statement that goes along with that. Now, that personal statement is supposed to be, a 4,000-word sort of essay, which...
Is it 4,000 words? 4,000 characters.
4,000 characters, sorry. 4,000 characters, yeah. Which gives them an idea of, why you're applying for that particular course, what your motivations are, what your future ambitions are. It's used to decide whether you would be a suitable candidate or for that particular course and university.
There have been some changes to the application process for 2024. None of those are connected to the personal statement yet, but it seems likely that the process will change quite a lot from 2025 and beyond.
So at the moment, the talk is of, sort of scrapping this personal statement because I think there's been a few. I think it's been difficult for both students to write and also for universities to sort of assess those personal statements.
I guess the challenge of the personal statement is that it's a free-form piece of writing. You can include anything that you really want in your personal statement. It's very much up to the student. A lot of students have trouble actually forming thoughts on the page that, can enter into their personal statement, and they have trouble. They sometimes need a lot of support in constructing the personal statement that is coherent for their course application. I think also because it's quite a wide thing. It's because sometimes you've got. I know with medicine it was a bit different, but they're applying to maybe 2 or 3 different subjects and that kind of thing, and that can complicate the issue, because if you're interested in studying mathematics on the one hand, you've got to show your interest in mathematics. But then if you also said, I've got a passing interest in economics or something like that, and that's one of your other universities or courses, then you've got to show your enthusiasm for that course. So I think there's a few issues with it. I also think, depending on the type of student, some of them have more trouble putting together a personal statement than others.
Well, I'd say the big thing is, if you think about it, they're writing these personal statements, sort of year 13. Some schools maybe end of year 12, but generally year 13, and there'll be a group of students who are not sort of doing humanities subjects where you get to develop and practice good written skills. So for example, for students that are only doing your typical STEM subjects, it's probably difficult for them to articulate in words, put together a personal statement, a coherent personal statement. So I would say that's an issue that I can see, because it's they finish, you've got English that's compulsory up to, and some other humanity subjects that are compulsory up to year 11, but then you've got that gap from year 11 to year 13 where you're now writing this personal statement which is supposed to have a sort of a huge impact on your life. You've got that sort of 2-year gap where you haven't been writing.
I mean, you don't do anything like that in your GCSE English or anything like that. So this is the first time where they're sort of writing essentially something a bit like a cover letter, sort of about themselves. It's a very personal statement. It's a very personal thing to do, and it's quite difficult for some students to articulate those things because they've got to sell themselves essentially to the, and if they've had no practice in that, then they're going to struggle. So the university wants to see that you're capable of taking the course. So they want to see your ability in your personal statement. They want to see your ambition and that you're a nice person to work with. This is an exercise in selling yourself to the admissions officer, and you need to make yourself look as appealing as possible, but also don't be too showboaty. Don't show off too much, because you've got to come across as a relatively humble person. So you need to show your interest in the subject and the course. Obviously, for like if you're doing medicine or something like that, you got to show your aside from your ability, you've got to show why medicine means something to you. Like why is it a meaningful career path and stuff like that. You also want to show your future ambitions and how you'll utilize the knowledge that you gain at university. Also, it's good to mention any additional things outside of school that you may do to support your application. So if you do any volunteering, if you've done any work experience and you've learnt from that, they like that because it's different from, I guess if everyone's doing it, it's not different, but you want to differentiate your application from others. Make sure you use relatively advanced vocabulary because you are going to a university, a place of higher education, and thus you'll have to use more academic language.
They've discussed like replacing the personal statement with a series of questions, right, for 2025 or entry in 2025. I imagine most of those questions will be, I think it's 6, but I imagine they'll be based around, again, your ambitions and desires for doing the course.
I said one of the biggest problems that you've got when you look at people's personal statements is that it's incoherent because there's no flow from one thing to the other. But then if you were to break it down into separate questions,
the questions would make it more targeted.
It would make it easier for a lot of students. It makes it easier for the admissions officer to sort of tick off. It becomes a box ticking exercise essentially because you go, okay, student has shown this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
So it's more objective in that sense. But then there may be less opportunity to show your individual flair. Do you think they should get rid of the personal statement?
Overall, yes. Provided that these 6 questions are well written, well targeted. What about yourself?
I think for certain students it's actually better to write a personal statement. They'll write something a lot higher quality if they write a personal statement than answer individual questions. Probably the question approach would be the best thing to do because it reduces work from every side.
Let us know. Do you agree with the scrapping of the personal statement or not? Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.